Hello everyone, my name is Chooks and welcome to the Students of Future Network. A big apology for the last hangout session, which was a few weeks ago, which was cancelled. This was because of health reasons. It appears to be spring in Melbourne, and I'm very susceptible to the hay fever, and I apologize for that. But anyways, this is the very first of our webinar series, and it's titled "Who Are You?" And yeah, I look forward to having a chat. I hope you've had a lovely past few weeks. And thank you to everyone who's joined the group on Facebook. And thank you most importantly for the chance to run a seminar at La Trobe University on the 5th of October. Yes, we're growing. It may not be as fast as we imagine, but like I've always encouraged everyone to do is start from where you are. You can also notice that we've changed the color of our slides, and yeah, I'm looking forward to an exciting webinar series. And like I said, that's me there as Chooks. I'm an educator and a mindset strategist. Most people like to refer to themselves as a coach. I like to refer to myself more as a teacher and someone who's learning the thinking patterns and how we can change the thinking patterns of young people. Just letting you know that the Students of Future Network is a project or an initiative put together for young people, and this project is looking at how can we harness the individual potential of young people, whether they're in high school, university, or even graduated. It came to me because this has been something I've been through while I was studying, and how when I even graduated, I wanted to find my potential, I wanted to develop myself, and I also wanted to give back to the community. So I began this journey. I actually started as a blog, and slowly started building this. It's still in the process of building, and yeah. And that's a picture of me that was taken at a friend's project, which was promoting diversity in Melbourne or Australia. I think that was last year, and it was very interesting. The final book is amazing. I think it was called Colors of the Rainbow, and it was really, really beautiful. Yeah, that's a little bit of introduction about me. Um, if there's any questions in particular, if you want to know more about me, you can always shoot me a message on Facebook on the Students of Future Network group. The most important question we always ask ourselves is who are we? And I've heard a lot of people ponder this. I've actually done this myself. I've actually been through the process and the motion of asking myself, who am I, and what am I supposed to be doing? I actually came across a young man who's deciding to who's dropped out of uni because he wants to actually go on this journey to find himself, and I applaud that. I applaud that because that is a really, really big step. And today I want to share my own view about finding yourself, and hopefully I can give you some insights, and hopefully get you on the journey of understanding and appreciating who you really are. I most importantly believe that everyone knows who they are. It's the truth is that we've either been conditioned to think differently, or we've been told by either society or friends or family or peers what we should do and how we should do it. So I come from a place of thinking that at some point in our lives we know what makes us tick, or we know what we're excited about, or what we imagine we want to do, but we get caught up with not necessarily caught up. I'll say we get entangled in the society of beliefs around what education should be, what we should be doing as individuals, what we should be doing at different stages in our lives, that we lose track of who we really are. It's not until we get to a point where we feel stuck, maybe in a job, in a relationship, maybe in a course of study, that we actually stop to actually ask ourselves this question: who we really are and what makes us tick. So we're going to be looking into those things, but I really do believe that everyone knows, and I always start my coaching session with anyone who is going through this to think about a time when you were a lot younger, and think about those things that excited you, what you were thinking, no matter how lame it may sound to you right now, that would help us piece the pieces together, actually. I already mentioned that these are the different factors that could cause the the stage where we come from, or the way we are in terms of being stuck. Social conditioning, culture, religion, family, environment, and peers. I want you as an individual, while you're listening to this, to figure out which of these um, suits you, or which of these you fall in, or which category you think yours would fall in. It could be a mix of all of them, and that's totally fine. Now, the challenge is in this case is on learning these processes. Like I said, a challenge is on learning these and beginning the process of total self-discovery. Like the young man I just talked about, he's going on a journey to find himself, and that's beautiful. I did give him a few tips on the day I met him, and I hope he somehow finds the process. He starts the process. The basic truth is that finding yourself is a journey that's going to take a long time. It's a process that will take time, but most importantly, commitment and dedication to the process. And also, like I said in our previous hangout, embracing the change that comes with it is the most important aspect of it. Now, what tool should you trust when you're embarking on this amazing journey of total self-discovery? Um, I was told at a young age that intuition, or that still small voice, is a very important navigation or guide in the process of life. But most of the time, we just feel like we need to ignore that voice, and it's not until something bad happens that we recognize that, oh, that voice was there for a reason. So at this stage, I'm going to say your biggest tool is your intuition. It's the biggest guide. It is the most underutilized. So I'm going to encourage you to start being still and understanding and accepting that voice when it comes, because it is actually telling you or guiding you to who you should be as an individual. There are common questions a lot of people ask. One of them is, why, oh why am I on earth? That's a big one. Everyone asks. I think I did ask. I've done my own asking in that when I was a lot younger. I'm 32 now, and yeah, I've been through that process. Another question is, what's the meaning of this life, and particularly of everything that life has to offer? Another question is just, what am I supposed to be doing with my life? I get this a lot because I happen to be working in an educational institution where I meet young people who are confused with. I wouldn't use the word confused. I think that's a harsh word. I meet young people who are stuck, not being sure why they're studying what they're studying, why the subject they're doing isn't making so much sense, why it's not exciting. It could be two ways. It could be that the person handling it is not as interesting, and I hope I am interesting right now. At the same time, it could also be that that's not what they're really interested in. They've just done it because the status quo, society, or parents, or even peers have dabbled into it, so they felt that that was the right option for them. So we're going to look at this. Again, these are common questions, and yeah, there could be many more, like why am I studying what I'm studying? What am I going to do after graduation? Why do I feel isolated? All those kind of things are questions I hope we can start to answer with the Student to Future Network. And like I say, it's a conversation like no other. I want to begin to have this conversation. So I'm putting together this webinar series. I'm not even sure what the next topic is going to be. So I'm going to rely on you guys to give me your feedback and hopefully help me out with the next topic for our next series. Now, who we really are is basically the sum of all the experiences we encounter. This is because life is a it's a journey. It's not a destination. It comes with its ups. It comes with its downs, and most importantly, it's the way we question what we've experienced and choose to learn from it that really matters. We have to be conscious of the fact that as much as we plan for specific things to happen in our lives, in most cases or in some cases, things wouldn't go as planned. But not saying that you wouldn't get everything you dreamed of, but it could appear in a way that you didn't imagine. So the basic truth is that if you put together everything you've experienced in your life and you've been aware of, in most cases, that could tell you who you really are, because you're able to identify what your beliefs are, what your values are, what are those limiting beliefs as well, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your challenges, what are your core skills, and that's a beautiful, beautiful gift to share. So whatever stage you are in your life, you are actually the sum of your experiences. You could see it as choosing. Um, you could also see it as the choices you've made along the way, and which have brought you to where you are today. Yes, there might have been challenges, mistakes, or whatever you want to call them, problems, but these things have actually brought you to where you are today. Uh, Oftentimes we live someone else's life, a life full of a should. We do what is expected of us, or we choose to fit in. That's a very common thing we go through in life, because everyone's trying to be someone else, or everyone's trying to live according to another person's vision and mission for them. This is often common with families where we have parents who have expectations of their children, and or guardians who actually have expectations of their children. It also happens in the educational system as well, where teachers have expectations of certain children, and because of these expectations, we end up limiting ourselves. We just end up conforming to what these expectations are what the expectations are required of us. It's important to know that as much as these expectations exist, an individual is still going to have to figure out a way to utilize what comes naturally to them, so that it can actually give them inner peace and inner joy. So I always encourage people to try and assess yourself based on the fact that, are you living your truth? Are you using everything about you that is available to you? In a nutshell, I have a mentor who says you should go to bed every day responding to a question: have you done everything you could today, and what's left for tomorrow? You're going to give it a go. So maybe have a rethink, and start assessing your life and your activities. Is this what you really want to do, or are you doing it because other people want you to do it? So that is a very important aspect to focus on as well. Now, how can you identify who you are? Now, I've written a few things up here in the slides, and I hope these can help you. Now, I want to stop a little bit and just address the fact that these are my strategies. These are what's worked for me, and this is what I practice. I'm very open to people telling me what's worked for them as well, because there will be different strategies, but the most important thing is you have to identify what works for you. So it's always important that in identifying who you are, you find out what's important to you. You need to know what's important to you in terms of your values, your beliefs, in terms of your relationships, in terms of what you want to achieve. You need to identify what's important to you, what you value most in life, and most importantly, what you don't value. It's like doing a scope. You identify what's in scope and what's out of scope. Now you need to identify what your values are and what are the things you don't value. Identify what is unique about you, what comes naturally to you, what can you do even if you were sleeping and someone pinched you in the middle of the night. What would you do and how would you respond to that? Now everybody, there's a common saying that from Albert Einstein that says everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. This is simply saying that it has a little bit to do with expectations, like I spoke earlier. Telling people this is what they should do, and they end up thinking that that's all they can do. And in this case of the fish, you know what this means. So it's important to identify what's really important to you, what you value, and identify what makes you unique and what comes naturally for you. Now, I want you to ponder this. Now, what if our educational systems were a little more focused on discovering our true talents and skills with no stigma whatsoever, rather than encouraging us to focus on those things that might earn us a living down the track? I actually would love to see our educational institutions bringing in more coaches or life coaches to help students actually identify who they are, and being able to use the DISC model to map out what careers could be a possibility. When I say could be, I mean that it could be likely that they would do that, but at least will help them stay interested in studying for that course, because it's in relation to who their or it's in relation to their personality, in terms of personality types and behavioral types. Now, what happens next after you identify who you are? Now, like I said before, to help you identify who you are, you need to know what's important to you, what you value, and what makes you unique. Now, when you've identified these things, you need to contribute. Contribution is really important, because I like to think that the purpose of life is to love, to learn, to give and grow. So when you actually identify who you are, it's important that you contribute. Entertaining our talents for our own sake does not fulfill us. That's just being selfish. And yeah, at some point we should look at the idea behind being selfish. Now, find the link between your true talents, your inner genius, and a cause greater than yourself, and you will get close to experiencing true fulfillment in life. I hear a lot of people who keep saying I don't feel fulfilled. It's because you haven't actually found out who exactly you are, and if you're able to identify what makes you think in terms of your values, in terms of what makes you excited, what gives you inner peace, and your skills and your talents, and use it for something, I feel that I believe strongly that you'll be able to go to bed happy. A lot of people ask me what makes me happy as a person. The feeling I get when I find a help or assisted a client, or actually a student, um, connect the dots in terms of their passion or their purpose, gives me that excitement. Most of the time I know that I'm a great listener, so I use that gift to my to the best of my abilities, rather. So I want you to, when you identify who you are, contribute. Find something that is a big cause. Find something that can help the world at large. This is me giving back to the world. I'm trying to spread my knowledge, or share my knowledge with younger people, who would probably have experienced or who are experiencing what I have experienced, and I want to be the instrument, or the servant, or the service tool to get them to where they want to be. Now, the question is, what is my purpose? So now let's talk about purpose. Um, Identifying who you are is one thing, but identifying what your purpose is another thing. Now, the simple strategies I've put together in terms of finding your life's purpose, I would say start a journey of self discovery. This ties into finding out who you are. You need to find out what's important to you, discover your personal values, and most importantly, your likes and dislikes. Those things that you love doing and those things you don't like doing, you just have them in a box so that it helps you be grounded. So you identify and focus on things you like. Identify your unique talents and skills. That cannot be overemphasized. That I'm gonna keep saying it. You know what comes naturally to you, whether it is writing, whether it is dancing, whether it is singing, whether it is helping other people, whether it's in teaching, whether it's in running. You know what it is. Now, the question will be, when you identify what it is, develop these things further so you can use and contribute to a cause bigger than yourself. Get clear about what you do not want, that what you do that no one else does. That's the most important. You need to get clear. What is it that I do that I haven't seen many people doing? Even if you find people who do it, there's something that makes you different from the people who do it as well, because you have a different spill to it. Find a greater cause. Think about what problem in the world you would like to solve. How can you use your talents and abilities to somehow contribute to the world? How can you help others through the use of your own talents? Finding your purpose and finding out who you are. Once you find out who you are, I believe you've actually found your purpose. And I believe that our ultimate purpose or mission or vision or whatever it is to love, to learn, to give, and to grow. And that is the purpose. That's my big purpose. I believe that once I come from a place of love, and when I meet people, I'm learning constantly and I'm giving back and I'm growing, and that's the way I see life. Now I want to share with you the ESIP model, which comes in very handy and I use in my coaching skills. I want to share with you on a somewhat basic level. Now, the ESIP model stands for environment, structure, implementation, and people. Now, we're going to break it down, and this is just because I think it'll help you in evaluating yourself in your process of self-discovery. Let's look at the now. The E stands for the environment. Now, when you're looking at your environment, it's very important to focus on what your outcome is, what exactly you want to achieve, especially when you found out who you are and what your skills, your talents, your abilities, your values are. You should put yourself in a place where you come up with an outcome for yourself. Maybe it's a vision, and this is where you focus on your environment. You need to ask yourself, what's the purpose for this outcome? And what's my thinking behind this outcome? You need to address the mindset behind that outcome. Is it a good outcome? What's the bigger purpose for achieving this outcome? Now, with this, you need to look at your standards. Look at your standard, look at your attitude towards this outcome, and assess how amazing or how wonderful you want this outcome to be. So these are the things you look out for when it comes to the environment in the ESI. Now, structure. What exactly do you need to achieve in terms of the systems, your behavior, whether they should be repeated, what your categories of focus should be, and what your benchmarks are for success when you achieve these. So you need to look at these things when it comes to structure. We're going to look implementation is simply how do you want to achieve that outcome you set for yourself in your environment. Now, when it comes to implementation, you're going to look at the actions you need to take to achieve the outcome, and you're going to be assessing how this compares to the ideal benchmark you set for yourself, so you can constantly track, check, and adjust the trajectory of your motion. That's just a way of saying, okay, this is my action steps. Now this is the benchmark I have. Let us assess the process. If it's not working, you're gonna re-strategize and get new action. That's what that simply means in implementation. Now, when we look at people is simply, who do you need on your team to be able to achieve this outcome? what do they need to do for you to be able to achieve this outcome? Do they need to be a support network? Do they need to be a sounding board? Do they need to be your friend in good or bad? Whatever it is, you need to identify the people. Do they need to be teaching you something? You need to identify who these people are. Who needs to be involved? How do they need to be involved? How is their involvement going to help you achieve your actual outcome? That's very important when it comes to the P. I hope I've been able to talk about the ESIP model. It's just a model to reassess your progress and to keep you on track. You start with the environment, what your outcome is. You need to structure it. This is where you put the benchmarks. You need to, in your implementation, you're going to focus on your action, what your action plans are going to be. Then in the P, you're going to look at the people. Who do you need in your on your team to actually help you achieve this? I just want to pause and tell you to remember that life is a journey, it's not a destination. Self-awareness is 95% of the journey, and 5% is our beliefs and what we do with these beliefs. I cannot stress this so much. Life is a journey, it's not a destination. People keep saying, oh, I feel like I'm not doing anything. It's a journey. You're supposed to be learning as you go. So pause and take in the lessons, embrace the change, start from where you are and keep going. Now, as we get to the end of these 30 minutes webinar, my nuggets for success in terms of professional developments, which is simply saying that networking can be easy, is that just letting you know that when you go to a networking session, everyone at the event has the same objective. So I urge you and I encourage you to relax, challenge yourself to speak to at least 5 persons, listen and stay engaged. You can ask questions to keep yourself engaged, show interest in the other person, and that helps you keep the conversation going. Offer to stay connected outside the event. You can use LinkedIn. You can do a casual coffee catch-up if the case arises, but most importantly, stay connected. Now, thank you so much for listening to this. I hope it serves the purpose for which it was created. It's creating an awareness of who you are. I know a lot of people want to identify who you are. I hope these strategies, which are my strategies, and hopefully if you do have new strategies, please let us know. Send us your feedback and your comments to info@w2lconsulting.com, and stay connected with us on Facebook. Now, for those of you who want to stay growing in terms of your resources, I'll encourage you to read the book by Dr. Phil. It's called Life Matters. I'll encourage you to anyone who is beginning this journey of total self-discovery to read the book Life Matters. It is excitingly insightful. That's the way I'm going to use it. That's the way I see it. So I'm going to encourage you to have a read of that book and share with us your feedback as you go. Stay connected with us on Facebook, W2L Consulting, and on Instagram as well, W2L Consulting. Twitter is at W2L Consulting. Now, if you want to create your own post and you'd like us to see you, you can hashtag us on hashtag Student to Future and W2L Consulting. We've got our YouTube channel there. It's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. We have our blog there as well. We hope to see you next time. And at this stage, we're going to be recording all the webinars, and instead of creating events and inviting people, we're just going to post these every fortnight. I hope to speak to you all soon. Have a great week, and talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye.